Alright gentlemen, this is part 2 of rebuilding my YZ125. If you saw part 1, you'll know I got the engine out, cracked it open, had a look at the what caused it to lock up, and it turned out it was the big end bearing that locked up. So it turns out we're doing a full engine rebuild. If you want to catch up on all the ins and outs of that, go watch part 1. I'll link it down below. And without any further ado, let's get into part 2. Okay, so here we go. I'm pulling off the carb and resetting all the jets to stock. When we got the bike, the previous owner, he'd leaned out the pilot jet a step or two for trail riding. And me not knowing much about two-strokes, I didn't think it would matter that much. And yeah, I think it did matter, and I think that's probably a contributing factor as to why it blew up. So I thought it would be better to start with fresh settings and tune from there once you have a good baseline. And there we go, there's the main jet. And there's the pilot jet. I swapped out the needle as well. It was different. I can't remember the number. There's a whole bunch of numbers on the needle. I can't remember, but it was different. It wasn't exactly the same as the stock one, so we changed that as well. Main jet looked the same, so that was fine. I replaced it anyway just to stick with it, keeping everything brand new. There we go. So that's done. Float's going to go back in. Made sure that works still. Pivoted fine. That groove there for the gasket had some debris in it, so I found a screwdriver that fitted in there and scraped it all out. I should have really cleaned the whole thing before I pulled it apart, but it didn't seem that dirty. I just started noticing it as I got into it. Yeah, it's much easier when it's assembled, but, well, I can't reassemble it for the sake of cleaning it. That'd be stupid. And so I ended up chucking some anti-seize on the screws, especially for the float, because I figured I'd be in and out of it a lot and I don't want it to seize up on me while I'm tuning it, and they're very, very easy to strip. So anti-seize is the way to go. Now I'm going to put the slide back in, and we'll try and not bend the needle. Got to try and align it so it slides in nicely. And yeah, once I screwed it all back together, I threw it on the shelf, and we're finally making progress. We have one thing rebuilt and ready to go for the new motor. Now, I had a lot of comments asking how I mounted my phone to the handlebars, so here's a brief look at my 3D printed phone holder. That piece just clicks on there, and it has 3 screws that holds it on, and it just clamps onto the handlebars. Very simple, really. Now, I thought I should probably take the opportunity to check the cables and make sure they weren't getting too worn. So I went ahead and popped off that cover and checked out the throttle. And the throttle turned out to be totally fine. No sticking or anything, so that was good. And did the same with the clutch. Cable looked good once I got it out of all that grease. A little bent, but no fraying, so that's good. Okay, so at this point I knew I'd have to get new gearbox bearings, and I thought, well, while I'm here I better check the linkage and the swing arm bearings and see if I need new ones of those as well before I go ahead and order the gearbox once. If you want to go see why I needed new gearbox bearings, go watch part 1 if you haven't already. And there's one bolt that was right under there and I couldn't get to it on the chain slider, so I thought I'll leave that till I get the swing arm off. And then I decided to try and pull the rear brake off without understanding how it works, and I didn't read the manual. And so I fluffed around pulling that bolt out, trying to work out how it came off, but that bolt didn't do it. So I ended up having to read the manual, and it turned out you have to pull the rear wheel off to get it off, because the axle is what actually holds on that caliper. So I put the other bolt back in. Here comes the reservoir for the rear brake, and then it all comes off as one nice unit. So that was nice. And then pop those covers off, and there's a bolt in there, and then the swing arm, because the bolt that goes to the motor mounts is already off. Then it's just that bolt there that holds the swing arm on, and after some hammering with the back end of the ratchet, we got it off. And there's that bolt on the chain slider. I can get to that now. I'm gonna check these bushings, bearings, whatever they're called. Oh yeah, they're a little worn. Let's check this side. Okay, we need new ones of those. That sounds terrible. And to be honest, the grease looks a little rusty. Now, what didn't actually show up on camera is the fact that there was like half a mil of place, I decided, in those bearings. and that's far too much. So we definitely need new swing arm bearings. Right, so now I've got to go give this linkage a good clean and inspect the bearings, and hopefully they can just get repacked with some fresh grease and we'll be able to keep using them. Now, once I'd cleaned everything off on the outside, I got that little tiny screwdriver and I went around the outer steel lip and got rid of all the crud that had built up in there. It was all just, grease mixed with mud and dirt and whatever, and I got rid of all that. Just so when I pull the sleeve out, it doesn't, flick into the roller bearings, or the needle bearings actually they are. Just so it doesn't flick into the bearings itself. And there we go, we can see it all looks pretty clean. And so I went ahead and did the same with this one. This one actually was by far the dirtiest. It had quite the caked on layer of dirt and mud and grease. So much so that I actually had to break out the wire brush to give it a good going over with that. And it actually ended up polishing it up fairly well, I thought. By the end of it, it made a bit of a difference. And again, same story with the screwdriver, just me being extra fussy, trying to avoid getting any dirt in those bearings as I was hoping to reuse them. And as we can see, those seal lips are all cleaned off.
As I suspected, these are perfect, no movement at all, but I will put some more grease in there.
This grease looks a lot better than what was in the swing arm, but we're going to add some fresh stuff anyway.
Uh-oh, I bumped the rollers. No. Alright. My zone goofed up. Alright, I've pulled a roller out. Congratulations. Come on, wriggle. There we go. Now that should be more than enough grease.
In here I'm just making sure I put plenty of grease around that seal. Make sure nothing gets in there, no water or anything.
So we've got a nice mixture of old and new grease. I don't think will matter much.
So I decided I should probably clean off the sleeves and make sure there was no major wear marks on them. So I did that and they were fine. And then I decided I'll clean off these spaces because the seal lip actually runs against them. So I made sure they were thoroughly cleaned. Okay, so we're ready to reinstall the sleeves, and there we go. Sleeve number 1 is in, and there goes sleeve number 2. After a little bit of fiddling, it actually didn't want to go in that way, so I had to flip it around. And then we'll put those spacers on there, and I ended up chucking some extra grease on the outside lip just to try and catch any dirt before it gets to the seal lip itself. And then of course I had to clean off all the excess grease and make sure I wasn't going to attract any more dirt than necessary. So I gave it a good thorough cleaning on the outside and made sure I left just a little bit of grease on the outside of that seal lip to catch anything that comes nearby.
There we go, all rebuilt, ready to go on the shelf.
And with this one, it was actually quite dry on the grease side, so I'm glad I checked it. On the actual sleeve, there was almost no grease at all, so it was definitely on the dry side. So I gave it a quick clean, and then I had it with some Scotch-Brite just to take off a little bit of the corrosion on the very outer edges. Make sure the corrosion doesn't chew into the seal lip at all. And then just put some more grease in there and put it back together. And grease up the actual sleeve itself as well. And there we go. The linkages are all re-greased and ready to go on the shelf.
It's looking less and less like a motorbike and more like a bunch of parts. It's just the frame, the forks and the front wheel. Yeah, I'm going to pull the radiators off. Pull off the old hour meter and, look at it. There's literally no back wheel. We're so close. It wouldn't make any sense to not do the full thing while I'm here. You'd have to be completely mental. So, we will disassemble this and give it a clean. You wouldn't know there was actually a bike in here. There's a wheel there, there's a frame there, there's another wheel there, handlebars are on the bench, motors on the shelf, swing arms by the press. You wouldn't know there was a motorbike in here, it's just all a bunch of parts. Now we can pull this radiator off, get the CDI off, then I'll go and give this frame a bit of a good clean. It's a bit of gunk build up on the aluminium, so we'll clean that. Just like that, there's the rest of the electrics. Not a lot when you don't have a battery. Alright, I'm just going to clean off all this sand as much as we can. Since this nut decided to undo itself without my permission. I was backed out with the impact, I think. Alright, so it's a giant washer. It is a giant washer. I don't know how that's supposed to go. I imagine it falls that one. Yes, it does. That's the other bearing. Another package arrived. Here's our SWINGARM rebuild kit. So I'm just going to take the swing arm and pull out all these old bearings and seals, and we'll give her a bit of a clean and put the new ones in. Ah, I was wondering why there were two different sizes. That's actually smaller than the outside one. Because I couldn't work out why that was. And I was getting thoroughly confused because there's two different sizes of seals, as you can see. Now that makes sense. Alright, I'll just pop the outside one off and press them out. There we go. Swing arm bearings are out.
Okay, so this is before cleaning the swing arm, and here's after cleaning the swing arm. And now it's the frame's turn. Here's a little bit of a before. You can see all the marks and the scratch marks from where your boots are and the mud and just the, not corrosion, but just the discoloring more of the aluminium. So same treatment, degreaser, bit of the pressure washer, and then a little bit of red Scotch-Brite on all the easy to get to surfaces. And hopefully it'll make a bit of a difference. The before and after is, well, drastic, should I say. I really like that brushed finished on aluminium, so I was very happy and got all the grease out of the steering head, so that's all going to have fresh grease when I start putting that back together. But that'll be in part 3, so if you want to see that, like, comment, subscribe if you made it to the end. I made this one a little shorter, so hopefully it can get some more watch time. And tune in for part 3. We'll be putting the swing arm bearings back in and start putting the linkage back on, start putting the steering head back on, and we'll hopefully have a frame back up and running, and then we can start putting the engine back together. So yeah, stay tuned for part 3.